Hello, everyone. Jose J. Garcia with Mo Home University here. So, my guest for today is a real estate broker, investor, YouTuber, and I like to call motivator. If you watch some of his YouTube videos, you can't help but to get motivated. So, Steve Daria, how are you, sir?
Very good, Jay. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Before we get started, I love the beard. I tried to grow my beard up about 2 years ago. Uh, People thought it was funny. A lot of people confused me. I'm Hispanic, by the way, and people confused me. Are you from Afghanistan? I kind of had that look, so I didn't know what to think about it. But it was so thick and itchy. I'm not supposed to grow a beard. So awesome for that.
Thank
Love.
you.
Yes, sir. So, Steve, I connected with you on YouTube. That's how originally we came about. And I saw a bunch of your videos, a lot of them, which I'm going to be linking your channel on this video at the end. Also, for anybody that wants to join in and kind of check out some of the stuff you have. But how did you get started on this real estate?
Early on, when I moved from Jersey to Florida back in '99, went to college and ended up buying my first house. And it was kind of just I've always been fascinated with real estate. And while I was in college, I got my real estate license so I can find my own property. And I was a broke college kid, so I was like, if I can get the commission on it. So it kind of evolved into that. And then in that was 2003, and then 2006 I started my own real estate firm, Maxim Realtors, with my sister. And then as I mentioned previously to you, in 2018 we had an exit strategy on that company, and sold majority share of our organization. So freed up a lot more time to do YouTube and to share a lot of what we've been through over the years in terms of real estate and financial intelligence and everything else.
So you say you started back in '06, but even before you started your company, and you said you were always into real estate, had you done anything in that real estate field?
No, not really. I mean, we moved a couple of times when I was in high school, and I've always helped my father with.
All right, Steve, we are frozen at this time. Steve, can you hear me? I think we lost you there for a minute. You were saying you helped your father with something, and then we went into a frozen.
Yeah, my bad, man. Can you hear me all right now?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, we moving several times in high school when I was younger. I helped fix up certain houses to help my father out with houses that we lived in, to improve them. And then when I bought my first house, I did some house hacking. I filled up the bedrooms with roommates, so I kind of lived for free, and I had them help me out on projects. We fixed up the house, and 2 years later.
Steve, we are frozen again.
Yeah, man. I don't know if that's my internet or what, man.
Okay, let me see. I look good from my end. It could just be, Zoom is packing. There's a lot more people on Zoom and Zooming now. So, but okay, so you have experienced actual physically working in the real estate as well. We are having technical difficulties here, for sure. I'm trying to see if there's.
My Wi-Fi seems to be okay over here.
Huh. I'm not sure why we keep on freezing up here. Okay. Let's see if we can make it through. Hopefully, no more glitches there. I was asking, you've also done physical work inside of the real estate, so you have that side as well of actually working inside and knowing what it takes. Correct?
In terms of fixing up properties, or as a real estate broker?
Rehabbing them, yeah. Actual physical work inside the home.
Oh yeah. I've done everything. I pretty much know how to do everything. Not not necessarily the best work, but yeah, over the years I've learned how to do everything, because when you're starting out, a lot of times you you got to figure it out yourself because you don't have a whole lot of money to work with. And I never had much money to work with ever. So it was a lot of sweat equity for sure.
Yeah. No, but I think that's huge. When I first started, I did, and part of the reason that I did it, I didn't have money. I got into mobile homes, but handyman, as I'm sure most real estate investors and mobile home investors tell you, dealing with handyman and contractors is one of the hardest tasks. And I learned that very soon. But along with that, I didn't have the money, so I had no choice but to get in there. And I had some knowledge of it, but in the end, I feel like it helped me so much because now when I do hire handyman, you can't just bull crap me, if you will. Oh, we have to replace it now. And when I start hitting them with certain things, they kind of almost like, oh, like they didn't know you, expect you to know.
Yeah.
But so I tell any student getting in, get in there. If you don't have to do it, at least be by their side. Not micromanaging, but learn what they're doing. Ask questions because that'll benefit you in the end. So you coming in from that background and knowing what you're looking at, just it's just that much more better puts you in it.
No, that's great advice, because it's easy to get taken advantage of by contractors if you don't know what you're doing and what to look for. So yeah, that's very sound advice, man.
Absolutely. What is your ideal investment in real estate?
I've done a lot of different investments over the years, and what I've been playing around with literally over the last 8 years has been primarily beach vacation rental properties now. I had, mobile homes. I've had, annual rentals. I've really had a lot of different types of real estate investments, and the vacation rentals. There's, especially when you outsource management, there's just a lot less headaches, and the ability to use properties as well. You're able to utilize the properties in downtime or outside of season, and you can book properties for friends and family. So it's a completely different world of investing, and I've enjoyed that a lot lately for sure.
You know, uh, I've always liked duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, which is real estate, a little different as to what I coach and do. But have you ever done something like that, duplexes,
Oh
triplex?
yeah, oh yeah. We've had small multifamily properties, duplexes, triplexes, small mobile home parks as well. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to get back into that because I definitely am. I think that I want to see kind of a correction in the market because I think prices, especially in Florida, prices are very high right now. But I look daily at multifamily properties, and I just sold a duplex over on Fort Myers Beach probably less than a year ago, and that did really well. It was actually I had an annual tenant and kind of a hybrid, so it was vacation rental as well as an annual tenant, so it worked out really well.
Yeah, I heard a coach of mine years ago say, when he started, he actually had a downgrade. He sold his $300,000 home, whatever he had, and bought a duplex. He lived on one side, rented the other, and it paid for both. So that just sparked ideas. Obviously, you can make this happen. But what do you think's the biggest difference between multi and a single?
I am a big believer if anybody wants to be wealthy and financially free, then they should look into house hacking, and that's exactly what you just described right there. So if you have the ability to buy a duplex or a triplex and move into one of the units and rent all the rest out and you live for free, you're going to get way ahead a lot quicker financially because you don't have that burden of, say, a single family home unless you have college roommates or roommates that you can fill in bedrooms and you don't mind living in a communal space. Then single family might make sense. That was one of my first investments was a single family home, but I lived for free because I rented the other bedrooms out. So it just depends on where people are in their lives. But if you're younger and you're just starting out, I would highly suggest that anybody listening, they really study the art of house hacking and figure out how to live cheap or how to live for free. And if you do that, you guys will be on the path to uh, being very wealthy for sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, you got to get creative. And if something does break, you are next door. So it's not hard to get to the issue. What is one of the worst condition properties you took on and why did you do it?
You still with me? You kind of froze up there.
Yeah, yeah. You hear me? Did you hear my question?
Okay. Yep. Yeah. It was a small mobile home park, and it was almost disturbing because it was I think there was 12 or 15 units,
Mm.
and I would say 3 or 4 of the units, the people were financially distressed and didn't even have power or water on,
Wow.
and they had their families living there, little kids, and it it was just, we try to help them get placed into other
Mm.
properties because they weren't paying either. But once we got into those properties, because they didn't have power for probably some of them years,
Oh, wow.
um, they were just infiltrated with cockroaches, and I've seen, some really bad infestations where you take a second, you're like, man, how do people live like that, and how do they put their kids in situations like that? And it's, so sometimes it's out of people's control, but god, it was disturbing with some of those mobile homes for sure.
Yes, and I've seen plenty as well where you walk in, and that's my question is, you see little children, babies, like, wow, you just definitely have to have to. That's strong to deal with there. I've seen too many of those that it's hard to deal with. So I don't know, something to always in a way, if you can give back and definitely help those families out, why not? It's a win-win at that point. But so, I mentioned I do mobile home investing. I coach it, I teach it, I invest full investing, and I've been doing it for 6 years. But you say little parks. That was my question: is what all have you done with mobile homes? Is it just parks when you talk about mobile homes, or have you actually done individual as well inside of parks?
um I've done individual on lots that we've owned. I do, I've done a couple of videos on how you could actually buy the mobile homes, because one of my investors, because I'm a real estate broker, so one of my investors, well, actually a handful of them, super geeked up about mobile home parks. So it kind of evolved over the years, but basically we would scout out larger mobile home parks,
Mhm.
and then a lot of times we would find people who were doing this. And that was like my first introduction of people actually going into the mobile home parks, buying the structure, doing the lot rent, renting it out annually, and then getting the spread on it. And so I've collected those investors over the years. And whenever we acquire more parks, I would reach out to them, say, hey, we got, this mobile home, you can literally have it for free. I mean, we've given some of them away for free because they were just in really bad shape. And we would give, because I was responsible not just selling the parks, but getting new management, turning them around.
Okay.
And so I met a lot of these guys where we didn't necessarily want to deal with that. So it's that opportunity is out there. I'm sure
Mhm.
it's out there and it's available, and you're really helping the investor of the mobile home park by doing it as well. So we would, give some of them away for free, and then give maybe a month or 2 months for them to get in there, renovate them, and then, get a good quality tenant in place, that's going to continue paying, and then they would get the spread of it. So it works out really well. Personally, I've only done a handful of those, but me personally, I like owning the land.
Sure.
So that's why I went in a different direction. You pay a little bit more, but then you own the land, and then you know, you can owner finance the structure, and then be completely hands off. Where, you owner finance the structure, you're no longer responsible for fixing the property if it has any issues. You're basically just leasing the land to the new owner. So that was a very cool strategy. But I sold all those properties that I had.
Okay. No, and that is great. Definitely. I mean, I think the end goal to anybody investing in mobile homes is eventually the dirt. Own the real estate and then have that and not actually deal with the homes. But for those of you asking how little can you pay for an actual mobile home? Free. As you heard Steve here mention, is you can get them for free. It is about connecting with the park owner and and letting them know what you're doing. Definitely. I tell people mobile homes are like little ATM machines. As long as everything checks out, they just keep on spitting money out. So, that being said, they're profitable, they're easy to get into, and they're affordable. Why do you think more people are not into mobile homes?
I think there's misconceived notions about it, but also there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And if you're not willing to do the work and put forth that effort, then there's another person out there that's willing to do it. And I think some people they look at mobile homes and they're like, oh, that's not a sexy investment. And you know what? It's just like you're saying, if you have limited funds, this is a way to get your feet wet and get into the business. And then you can evolve over time and you can go into new other investments because you guys are getting that passive cash flow. And that's exactly what happened with us. I mean, we me personally, I bought and flipped a lot of properties, and now I'm not getting as good of a return based on the investments that I have now, because they're more vacation rental, they're more kind of A-class properties. But it's I have that luxury now because I was able to utilize that cash flow from early on really bad,
Sure.
tough properties to deal with. And then you can kind of, the evolution of things, you can kind of start picking and choosing what your appetite is for in the future. But I think it's a good option for somebody to get in with very little money.
Yeah, I mean, it takes no money, like you said, it's free. And then, I mean, you can come in from a wholesale side, a bird dog, there's many ways to come into. And funny you mentioned that is not as sexy. It's definitely not. There's a stigma that is very strong there, won't ever go. I think it's a plus, not the other way around. But, I had speaking to Joseph Michelli, and he mentioned that a lot of times people pass up on what's not sexy just because of almost like judging a book by its cover. I
Yep.
think you mentioned a gentleman doing dumpster trucks. Not many people are going to fight him off of that, and the guy's a millionaire. So I
Yep.
mean, it's all how you structure it. But where do you see the mobile home market in the next 5, 10 years?
It's going to blow up. There's going to be such a demand for affordable housing. I look constant. I mean, you're in Florida. Well, you invest in
Jordan.
Florida, right?
Yeah, I did.
In Florida too. I saw one of your videos. I think it was Lakeland or something. I'm looking over in Okeechobee right now, and there's some cool properties over there. I'm keeping my eye on some of those out there, but I think that the direction that the United States is going, there's going to be no shortage of affordable housing, and whoever's going to be investing now into these properties are going to benefit extremely well, because that's that there's going to be a lot of people in need of affordable housing, bottom line. And I think that whoever's following you and following your advice and taking your coaching, I would jump all over it, because that is going to be the wave of the future. I mean, the cost of living, it's very high right now, and I think people are going to get displaced. They're going to have to move out of apartment complexes and have to
Oh
move
yeah.
in with family members, and then they might have to downgrade their living.
May not be an option, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, in affordable living, as you know, it's always been a need, but I think what we're about to see, it's definitely a blow up of that.
Yep.
Whether people are expecting it or not, it's coming. So, one of the most questions that I get all the time, especially from even realtors and real estate investors, is how do you know what the worth of a mobile home is, as is? And that's part of what I coach. But my curiosity was, why is there not a Zillow yet for mobile homes?
Yeah, well, I mean, mobilehomeparkstore.com. They even sell the individuals and everything else. But yeah, I agree. It is kind of hard to put a value on it. How I look at it is just how much cash is going to have to go into it to make it livable, and then what's your return on that investment? How quickly are you going to get your money back after it's all paid off? But yeah, I agree. It is tough to value the structure itself, for sure.
Sure. Can anyone get into mobile home investing?
Hey, if there's a will, there's a way. You
Mm.
know, I mean, I think that a lot of people that get into mobile home investing, they don't have a lot of money. They don't, and then they're prime example. There's one gentleman. I can't say his name or anything, but I've done a lot of work with, and he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these throughout Georgia, Florida,
Okay.
Texas, and I think Tennessee as well. He's a multi millionaire, and that's all he concentrates on. And this guy was living out of his car initially, and had nothing, and he got started by literally moving into one of those mobile homes initially, fixing it up, renting it out, and that's how he got started. So I think if you're down and out, even homeless, I think that there's an opportunity for you.
Sure, absolutely. I love underdog stories like that, by the way. That's, that comeback, the startup, start with nothing and end wherever, So
Well,
my
even real quick on that, let's say somebody's listening right now and they are homeless, but they've good character, they're good people, they're trustworthy. You can negotiate if you go knock on enough doors. And property managers at these mobile home parks, you might be able to barter. I mean, go in and say, "Can I get a unit for free? I'll owner finance it to me, but instead of paying you money, I'm going to go into your park and here's my skill set. Here's what I can do to improve your entire park." And barter sweat equity and get a roof over your head, and then turn that one unit into a rental in a handful of months until you're ready to do the next one. And maybe you basically collaborate with one park owner that has maybe 100 doors, and you're the person who becomes that prominent figure buying units in that park. I mean, if you build that trust with
Mhm.
a park manager, the sky's the limit. And again, you could be homeless. And I was homeless for a period of time living in my real estate office. It's like I know what it feels to be down and out, and where you can get to if you put forth the
Sure.
work.
Absolutely. That is huge. Those of you tuning in and listening, take advice. Steve said it best. So that was part of my next question I was going to ask, because my channel is all about giving tips, nuggets, and any way I can educate to get into mobile homes. But even then, a lot of people I think are ready. They know enough to get started. I mean, you're never going to learn everything there is to know. You know that. So it's when you really get out there that the real questions come in. What do you say to somebody who is ready and just fear keeps blocking them from getting started?
Fear stands for false expectations appearing real. And I think that fear prevents a lot of people from doing anything. My recommendation is, schools are taught, if you got a C, a D, an F, you're bad, and you're not a good student. I look at
I was wondering.
failure. Yeah. I I look at failure as, I want you to go out and fail. And the failure, you don't look at it as a disappointment. You look at it as, what can I learn from this?
Mhm.
What did I get from this by failing? So just get out and do. And it does take repetition. It does take amount of consistency, but consistently go out to these parks, follow Jay's advice, and put forth the work. And who cares if you fail, especially with, if you're buying mobile homes without the land, the money associated with it is pretty minimal. So I just recommend that people do go out, and it's okay to fail. But what did you learn from that failure? And it's like the most successful people in the world, they have a track record of failing. I've
Yes.
failed so many times. But if I didn't have these levels of failure in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And where I'm at today, I'm financially free, and I don't have to work if I don't want to. And it's a great feeling. But I had to hit rock bottom at certain points in times. I had to fail in real estate and other things. And it's important that, don't allow fear to consume your life. Life is short,
Mhm.
and just go out there and do it.
That this is great to listen to. Yeah, funny. We were talking last night with another investor, and I mentioned some of these things in the topic. Michael Jordan and Babe Ruth came about because these successful, and it doesn't have to be sports or business or anything. Anybody who's successful, they went through a big deal of fail. But what did you learn? It's always that, because some people either learn from it or quit or stop, which is the worst thing you can do. But if you look at like Jordan, like you mentioned, how many baskets did he actually miss, versus made? And it's
Yep.
all about taking that chance, but you have to get out there and do it. What did you learn? And go from there.
Yep.
This next question is more for myself, because like I mentioned in the beginning, you're a pretty big deal on YouTube. And like I said, I'm going to link your channel on here for those of you watching. I'm sure after what you're saying here, they're going to go to your channel, and they should. What is the best way to grow on YouTube?
Failure. So, I mean, I started 15 months ago, but I put my money where my mouth was. And I was telling you, I flew out to LA to go to Vid Summit. I signed up with Daryl Eves. If you guys know who Mr. Beast is, Daryl Eves is Mr. Beast is one of his clients, and they collaborate. And I went through his course of group coaching. I also recently bought his book that just came out, the YouTube Formula. So I put forth and it wasn't very expensive. I think I paid $1,000 for his coaching, and maybe $25 for the book. And I bought other books as well. And I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm a consumer of the knowledge that's out there for whatever I want to do. And I look at YouTube as every video is a piece of real estate. And if you're doing the correct optimization, you're doing the correct thumbnails, the correct titles, your channel will grow over time. And it creates ad revenue. I mean, it's ridiculous. The 21st of every month, YouTube just drops money in my bank account. It's amazing.
And I mean, it's a win-win again, because if you listen to your stuff, you're providing content that people can use. If they take what you're teaching there, they can actually go out and do it. I've heard enough of your videos that like, this is the real deal stuff here. Do you coach people at this time?
I created, I have 5 online courses or niche courses for real estate agents, for, listing short sales, foreclosures, BPOs, property management. I have one on financial freedom as well. So they're more online courses, more passive, digital assets that are put out there, but one-on-one coaching, it's, I kind of got burnt out, to be honest with you, because I was saying the same thing over and over. And that's one of the reasons which led me to YouTube, because I can put my message out there and anybody can watch it over and over. Or, I can send links to people and say, well, watch this, it'll probably help you. We in Southwest Florida, we grew our real estate company to 2 offices, over 60 real estate agents. So for years and years, I was coaching one-on-one our real estate agents, and it's a lot of work, so I kind of took a step back on the whole one-on-one or any kind of group coaching, and focus more of my effort to scale the message, as opposed to, you got to be smart with your time.
Oh, you do. And I know what you mean. Not at your level, I'm sure, but I'm coaching one-on-one still, and I'm fading more towards back to a webinar kind of like, because I've sat there and done, like you said, I remember a few Sundays are big for me in coaching, but I've done, like, let's say less than 3 of what I have back to back to back. And you're like, I'm just repeating this is terrible. This timing is definitely no good. So, hey, you have to be smart with your time. So, okay. Well, great. For those of you listening, I'm going to link Steve's channel on here. You can reach out to him. How can people connect with you?
I mean, if you just type in Steve Daria, Daria, on YouTube, my channel will pop up, and then there's plenty of content out there, and then my contact.
Subscribe.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I mean, if anybody wants to learn, about how to be smart with money and how to, investing, and I've got a lot of stuff out there. I've just transitioned from 2 videos a week. Now I'm doing 3 videos a week coming into 2021. So I'm excited about that. And I have a lot of fun with it too,
Absolutely. Steve, it's been great having you on here. I got one question off air for you, but anything else you'd like to add for anybody on here tuning in?
I think biggest piece of advice I got to give anybody is live within your means and try to figure out how you can live as cheap as possible. If that's house hacking, do it. I think there's more millionaires in the world because they did house hack and then they eventually paid their mortgage off. And that's a commonality that actually Dave Ramsey did a survey on, of all the millionaires. The one commonality that they had, they were free and clear on the property that they lived in. And a lot of them did do house hacking because, you just keep throwing that money at the mortgage every month. And before you know it, you're going to be free and clear on it. So if you guys can figure that out, live as cheap as possible, you guys will be extremely wealthy.
Absolutely. And if you're just now tuning in, be sure to watch the whole video where Steve mentions about duplexes and some ideas on that. So, Steve, we can't thank you enough. It's been a pleasure having you on here. One question, don't go nowhere.